Morning, everybody. I like it. Each week there's a few more faces. I tried to get the Zoom to do closed caption. It looks like I have to have a third-party vendor connected, but I did get something else that will actually do a summary. So that's actually kind of cool. I will send out the summaries with it. And I'm going to probably post the summary in the notes on YouTube, but I've only got 4 more of these, so I will work on getting the closed captioning figured out for next year. But you are able to turn the closed captioning on for yourself. So there is a button now that you can add that for yourself. Can you hear me? That's the question. All right, I had a lovely blue screen of death on my computer, and I'm using a very new computer to me. So we'll see what happened. All right, I actually sent it right to, I walked the computer over to the IT department because I was out and about driving, and evidently my computer decided to not have an operating system. I don't even know how that happens. And so I'm gonna have to go to take my computer back to Costco, because that's where I got it, and they have a great, I don't know, 3 years something warranty, and I only got it's only like 9 months old. And then my personal laptop today, when I showed up at a group, stopped working. Like it just won't have internet. It says the Wi-Fi's been disabled. Well, who said it could be disabled? I don't even know what's happening. So all right, we're kind of at the top of the hour. Got some more people coming in. 44 so far. Thanks everybody again. I'm always honored by how many people join. Today we are going to talk about kind of how I started, how I did not anticipate my growth, and then when I got the growth, what I did about it. I've gotten some suggestions for Rachel's, 2 different Rachels, Tammy, and one of them said, when do you get an assistant? And I'm like, good timing. So we're going to talk about that. Next month, we are going to talk about HSAs for the 4th. We're going to talk about HSAs. We are going to talk about prospecting, what to do when a drug isn't on the formulary, because there is stuff you can do. Let's see, what else did I get suggestions? It'll be kind of a, I don't know, think of it as a mishmash. What ways do you touch your client throughout the year? So it's going to be a lot of just kind of small independent questions that I've gotten. And then on the 19th, I'm going to talk about to do a class or not to do a class, or YouTube videos that I started doing, I think 4 years ago. It might have been the first time we did the class, and it's been widely successful. I also put those classes on YouTube for my clients. So we'll talk about that. And then the last one, the 26th, will be OEP, my process, renewals, new clients, after hours. So those are the 4 topics. I might switch them around. I will send out that information later this week to try and help. And then November, December, we won't have meetings. I work a stupid amount of hours, though you can certainly message me on Facebook. I'm happy to answer questions when I can, but I'm not on Facebook during the day. If it's an emergency, there's different ways to reach me, or go to your upline. My uplines have direct contact with me, but if you're not my upline, I have to do clients first. But I look at my Facebook at night when I'm at home working on emails. So, all right. So today's topic is, and guest speaker, I'll keep adding people in, is renewals. So I'm going to tell you how I started, how I kind of came in, and what made me finally decide to buy an assistant. Sam, I just bought her, I guess, you know. But when I decided to hire an assistant and need help, right? Because that is the question, when do you do that? I was not prepared. So I did come in as an assistant, actually. I ran the office. I started with 2 women, one sold Medicare, one sold ACA. It was 2013, the marketplace was just starting, and I knew this much about health insurance. this much. I knew nothing, but I know an office and I know computers and I'm smart and I can figure things out. And I came in to help them, right? Now it was the first open enrollment. They had just started their they had just started their company. They had no idea what was going to happen. The Affordable Care Act was a lot of noise. People hated it, loved it, whether you liked Obama or hated Obama, depending on the state you were in. A lot of states, I think you could tell the blue states and the red states. So the states that were on board with it prepared their constituents. The states who were not on board with Obamacare kind of left their clients going out in the wind, figure it out on your own. And that was our state. So we constantly had people coming in that needed to be educated because they didn't really know what they were. They didn't know what it was. I remember people going, I don't want that damn Obamacare. And I'm like, okay, I'm really confused. Do you take every tax credit you can get? Yes. Well, that's all this is. This is just a tax credit. And I had some that absolutely refused, were not going to do it. They weren't going to take the tax credit. They paid full cost. Okay, that's on you. And that's partly how the education side of it came. But I learned just doing it. After the end of our first year of open enrollment, I don't know exactly how many clients we had. And that open enrollment was huge. It was months and months. We had maybe 100. And then we picked up maybe another 50 throughout the year. So the next year's open enrollment, and I worked very part-time. I only worked 2 days a week, which was perfect. I had a small child at home and I kind of divided my time between ACA and Medicare helping. The next year, open enrollment, we went from 150 people to start. At the end of that open enrollment, we had 300 people, which was insane. I mean, it was crazy. Now there was two of us. I was kind of the assistant and I had another agent. So my assistant, AKA me, what I did was all the clients saw me first and I would enter all the information into healthcare.gov. I was much more tech savvy than the agent, but she knew insurance really well. And I just entered everybody's information. Then they would go into her office and all the information was entered in and all she had to do was help them pick the plan. And she would go over the plan details and then they would come out. And because there was two of us working it, it kind of worked. Again, I'm the tech savvy one. I was really fast. The next year, and during the summer, we went back to part-time. I was working a little bit more, but there wasn't a whole lot. The next open enrollment, we went from 300 clients to 600 in one open enrollment. It was absolutely insane. And it's never been less than 600 cents. It's just gone up. And in that meantime, I did get my license. I started doing sales myself. Eventually, Paulette, the agent, she had about 900 individuals, which was around 600 applications on the marketplace. Then I had 600. Not the first year, it took a little bit, but I ended up having 600 applications, which is roughly around 900 individuals. And I thought, I can do this. I can do this. Our business was growing. We were overwhelming. The first person we hired, honestly, was a receptionist. It was the answering the phones. Can I get an appointment? What's the phone number for the customer service of the insurance that I have? Those really simple things that I was like, I don't have time for this. I just don't. They end up taking a lot of time. They call you for one quick question. Just call me. It'll be really quick. How many of you called them back? And it's like 30 minutes. It's not a quick question. So we hired a receptionist, somebody to just handle the inbound phone calls, setting appointments, responding to really simple emails. I mean, I would get the emails and I would forward them to the receptionist. So I would think about that first. Do you need an assistant or do you just need someone to be more in the receptionist where they're not necessarily handling customer service? They're taking the simple things off your plate, like setting up appointments, doing follow-up calls. Did you get your card? Hey, just a reminder, we have a client, or sending out texts, right? The simple things that don't bring you any money. They're not generating revenue in any way, shape, or form, but need to be done. There are virtual ones who can do this. You don't have to have an in-office like we do that can take that off your plate. So that's the first person to think of. So we had a receptionist for quite a few years. Then our receptionist was retiring and another one was going to go part-time. And so we thought we'd hire. And I thought I was hiring a receptionist. We had a ton of applications and I interviewed, I don't even know how many people I interviewed, a lot. And in that time period, I ended up hiring 4 people because I realized we desperately need help. So I had over 900 individuals. Paulette had over 900 individuals. We had another agent who had around 150 to 200, and that is all ACA. That's not even Medicare. Medicare was just as much. It was just insane. And I met Samantha, who is, I'm going to introduce you guys to because she's pretty awesome. And she knew this much about health insurance, right? So you don't have to know about health insurance. In fact, I kind of think it's better that they don't, because then they can learn what the Affordable Care Act is without having to unlearn. Or maybe they have lots of Medicare experience, but they're going to keep trying to relate Medicare to ACA. Now, if you have somebody who can do both, great. But it's not about what they know, it's that personality. And I went, I need this person as an assistant. And we ended up hiring 4 people. Now, one didn't work out. Sometimes it won't work. And we struggled. I did fire 2 people that first year that we kind of became a company, because the thought of keeping them was more exhausting than the thought of taking over their job for a while. It isn't worth keeping somebody that you are not working well with. So if you hire somebody and you're just not feeling it, it's just not a good fit, that's okay. It's not a good fit. And if it's not a good fit for you, it's not a good fit for them. It's better to let them go and find somebody who's a good fit. You also, if you hire people, are going to have to deal with people. It's just, you're going to have to deal with people. You're going to have to train them somewhat. You're going to have to tell them what you want. And as the owner, these are our people, right? This is my stuff. And we're going to hold all their files like this. And we want them to do it exactly the way we do it. But you have to remember why you're hiring somebody, so that you have more time to do what you're good at. Let them do what you're not so good at, what you don't like to do, and maybe they won't do it exactly the way you did it. That's fine. As long as what is done correctly, how they get there is okay. So just remember, you're going to hire people and they're not going to be you, because honestly, if they were you, they probably wouldn't be an assistant. They probably wouldn't be a receptionist. And you'll fight like cats and dogs because you're, in the office with yourself. So that year that I hired Sam, and I hired her in the spring. It wasn't like I hired her 2 days before open enrollment, but I kind of said, I honestly don't know what I'm going to have you do, because I never thought about an assistant. I just did everything myself. And I said, you're going to have to follow me and please ask me questions. If I use an acronym and you're like, what the heck does CMS mean? Just say that, because, I don't know what you don't know, and I don't want to tell you everything and find out you're like, yeah, I've already, I got a master's in that. So just talk to me, tell me what you need, tell me what's going on. And she did. She was great. She followed me around. She sat in my office. I made her sit with me for lots of appointments to see how I did things, and kind of said, what that I'm doing, can you take off my plate? And then that has made a huge difference. I do remember, I think the first open enrollment, it wasn't even the whole open enrollment. Sam said, how the heck did you do what you did? Well, I don't know. I had to do it. And I'm so glad I don't have to anymore. So I'm going to let Sam talk about the process of open enrollment. And I want you to think about this as your book of business is growing. How big do you want to get? Because when I was a 900 individual agent by myself, I worked till 3 or 4 in the morning through open enrollment. I didn't work Sundays. It was kind of my one thing. I'm like, I have to have a day to let my brain shut down and sleep and not think about this. Do you want that or not? Are you willing to let some stuff go? Or you know what? I'm good with 500 individual clients. That's okay. Or I want to open an agency. I want to have assistants and agents underneath me. Kind of think about that stuff. So Sam, I'm going to let you take over. I think you can just go at the bottom and hit screen share.
All right, can everybody hear me? Hope so. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. I do have a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation. When Chris told me she wanted me to do this, I realized I'm gonna need visuals because it's kind of hard to describe my job. We have the other owner here always asks, well, what do you do? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you on a day-to-day what I do. If it hits my desk, I do it. So I needed to have a PowerPoint. So give me one quick second here to get that up. All right, can everybody see that? The PowerPoint? Okay. So Chris asked me a couple weeks ago, maybe closer to a month, that she wanted me to be on this to talk about open enrollment efficiency and what I've done since I got here. So, as she said, she hired me. I knew nothing. I didn't know what a deductible meant. Couldn't have given the definition for a copay. So I knew nothing. I listened to her over and over and over again. My office is positioned right next to hers for a reason. So I could just listen and take it all in and learn it. And I feel like I learned it pretty quickly because of that. She's a great teacher, obviously. So by the time open enrollment came in 2020, I felt really confident in what I was doing. So when I started in 2020, we only had Red Tail, which was decent, but did not have what we needed as we were growing. So
And that's
we then,
CRM for those
yep,
that are wondering.
yep,
That's
that's a
CRM. It
CRM.
is a very simple one, 99 bucks for a month. If you're looking for a cheap and expensive one, it's not a bad one to start with, but we had too many clients for.
Yeah. So we were growing exponentially really fast. Even right when I started it, we started and Chris said, oh, it's our slow season. That did not happen because COVID happened and everybody lost a job. So it was not slow and it has not been slow since. So we went, you know what, this CRM's not working. We need to upgrade. So then we went to Agency Block, and that's really what we were working with up until about 2 years ago. So I'm going to go over Agency Block, Haymarket, which is our texting app, Calendly, which is a self-scheduling app, and then Form Doctor that I know Chris has talked about repeatedly. I'm going to hopefully have time for some questions. I am also going to provide my personal contact information. If you have any other questions, that you can just contact me directly by texting our office number or by emailing me. So yes, the 2 M's is correct. Chris is right. She did say, I need somebody, but I don't really know what I need you to do. So basically figure it out. So that's really what I did. So these are those tools that I use. So Agency Block for me during open enrollment is obviously records of clients. I run a lot of reports and automated workflows. Calendly is a fantastic self-scheduling app. It's very user-friendly, and it also is very customizable. And I'm going to show you some of how that looks. Haymarket, I know there's a lot of different texting apps out there. This is the one we have found works for us. We can send text blasts. We can send links through that. It's really fast communication. And if you upgrade to a certain subscription, you actually can export your chat communications in case you want to keep record of that. Otherwise, it'll just stay in your Haymarket unless you physically delete it yourself. And then Form Doctor being that electronic form site that you can create documents, edit documents. If you don't want to create them, because it is kind of difficult to learn at first, you can actually send your documents to them and they will do it for you. So we actually did that with ours. You can send them through Form Doctor. And then I'm going to show you how that looks as well. And you also have the ability to export those returned documents. So open enrollment for me personally, and what I do, starts in June. It starts about the end of June. So from June till about mid-September through the end of September is when I am running reports. I probably run over a dozen reports in that time frame to narrow down, clean up files, clean up client information. What is the information that we need from them? What don't we need? How do they prefer to be communicated with? So that's what I'm working on in those months. So open enrollment for me starts well before open enrollment opens. So Agency Block first. So on my screen is just some of the information that I track during open enrollment. So obviously their name, their date of birth. I also track their Medicare status because in our office, we take care of terming their marketplace for them when they're going on to Medicare, be it single people or spouse. So I track that information as well. It also, because we are a dual office that also does Medicare on our other side, it helps them project how many clients they're going to be anticipating from us. We have about an 80 to 90% retention rate here. So it's really important that I track this information for them. And I do it per month of how many they can anticipate. So I run specific reports per client. well, not per client, but per application, based on all this information and what I already said. And they get their renewal information based on what we're needing from them. So you can see, do we need updated intake information down below? Do we need a CMS consent form from them, which is that first form of consent, them just saying, yep, I'm cool with you being my agent and you can pull my application and work on it. We actually, when this first came out, we did send out a major text blast saying, hey, sign this document. And so I've been tracking who gave it back to us and who didn't, because that's one of the things that's going out. It's really important when you're tracking this information that you're also tracking your client's abilities. It's not about you, it's about your clients and their comfort level. So you can see below, I have not comfortable doing self-renewal. So we have a few clients, and I'm really hoping for more this year, that are comfortable doing self-renewal, but there's plenty that are not. Learn your demographic. I can't stress that enough. So we live in a really rural area with factory workers and farmers. We've seen guys come in with flip phones, and I'm not talking the new ones. I'm talking you need to press 7 6 times to get the letter S, they don't do email. Maybe they have an email address, but they don't have a computer. We know that Health Sherpa is not phone friendly at all. So they can use a tablet or a computer, but learn your demographic. If we were in a metropolitan area, possibly we would be doing more Zoom, phone, and electronic communication, but we don't. So we do a lot of face-to-face here. So I take all of this information and I track it. So I'm going to show you what my tracking looks like. Now, bear in mind, when I started, as Chris said, we had little over 1,000 people on the marketplace, and that was just marketplace. So it didn't include any of our other, short terms, Medicare, what have you. Since then, so in 3 years, we now have over 1,800 applicants on the marketplace in our office. So that's why it's really important that as you grow your business to whatever number you want it to be at the end of the day, that you figure out what you need to track and what's important for you, but also what you need to track for CMS purposes. So this is an example of what my spreadsheet looks like during open enrollment. There's a lot of information that I track as well that you don't see here, but this is the main stuff. So obviously, what did they tell us their income is? I track their client status. So I track, are they ACA to ACA? Did they go from short-term to ACA, hospital indemnity to ACA? Because we do have some that only do hospital indemnity plans. And if they're previous, I want to know why they were previous, because then we can keep record of, are we doing a really bad job because they didn't give us a reason why they left, or did they go on to Badger Care? Did they get jobs? I track whether they are out of state or in state. We do service several other states. Our primary state is Wisconsin, so that's what I mean by out of state for us. And the carriers, in 2021, that big for us was Molina. And then last year, everybody shifted to Common Ground. So we are, I track that information as to, what can we expect? Because obviously every carrier pays those commissions differently. So if we can kind of project into the coming year what we're going to be getting, that's really good. So this is just kind of some of the stuff that I track during open enrollment. Find a tracking system that's going to work for you. You don't have to do a spreadsheet if that's not what works for you, but it works for us. I am the only person that touches the spreadsheet. Maybe it's a control issue. I don't know. But I'm the only one in the office that touches it. I keep it up to date every single day. I do weekly downloads from Health Sherpa to make sure the information is matching up and to track those that are doing self renewals. So, because we have over 1,800 applicants, we do not have the ability to go into our CRM every single day and update every single person's information, because there's probably 6 different tabs that we have to go into to update their information, and we are it's constant. So that's why I have my spreadsheet, because I can update it, and then at the end of open enrollment, December going into January, and quite honestly going into February yet, I'm taking all of this information and I'm putting it into Agency Block. Agency Block does have the ability to do mass import of information, so that's what I do with this. So I talked about people that are doing self-renewal versus not doing self-renewal. So every client gets a notice from us, regardless of whether they're comfortable doing self-renewal or they're not. Same as the people that are not in our primary state, they get a notice from us. So this is what our notice looks like to them. They're either going to have it texted to them or they're going to have it mailed to them. It's just very basic information. This is the open enrollment information of your dates. This is when you're going to expect a link from us. So one of the tricks that we use to kind of encourage people to do their own self-enrollment is, I need your help. Can you please, when you get that link, just go into it and update your information, or just double check that it's all there and it's all correct. You cannot break it. We've tried and you can't do it. Press a button. We can fix it. We always tell them, I can fix whatever you do. So that's what we try to do to encourage people. It actually really does work. I've even had people that, they're okay with pressing the button, but they just want to hear my voice. So I sit with them on the phone. Yep, you're gonna press next. Yep, you're gonna agree to that. And it works phenomenally. I'm, like I said, I'm really hoping that we get more this year that are just gonna get more and more tech savvy, that they're okay with doing that. But I also tell them on the flip side of that, if you're not comfortable doing that, that's okay. Just let me know. If you're okay with at least updating your income information, but you do not want to navigate those health plans, again, that's okay. Give me a call, give me an email, text me, and I will walk you through it. I, meaning myself, my assistant Andrea, or any of our agents, here, that we can walk them through it, help them pick that health plan, and then at the end of that, we go through those attestations with them, so we get that recorded. If we're doing it over the phone with them, or obviously if they're doing their own self renewal, they already know that what they're agreeing to. It's very important that you let your clients know. You can see on the bottom, I have it highlighted in blue. If you do nothing, your coverage is going to be automatically renewed, and it's going to be automatically renewed on outdated information. You could wind up being routed to a plan that doesn't work for you, or you're going to be paying an income or a premium that isn't correct. So you want to try to get that through their heads that that's not going to work. So of the 1,800 we have on the marketplace now, that would have been about 1,500 when we were going into the new year. So about the end of last open enrollment, we had about 1,500 on the marketplace. I would say that of those, there were maybe, I don't know, 20 something that auto renewed. So that is how clear of communication we keep with our clients, and how important it is to make sure that you're having less of those auto renews going through, because we've seen it happen where they auto renew and then they call us in a year. Why am I paying so much in tax credits? Well, you never contacted us. You never told us that you got a job and are now making 50 grand. So I think it's important to put that out there for them. On the flip side, they're not comfortable doing self-renewal, they're going to get this letter. It looks very similar. It's just saying that instead of them doing the link, which everybody will get the link regardless, so we do still give them the opportunity to do it themselves. But instead we send an income form, which I'm going to show that to you later. I know Chris did show it last week, but I'm going to show it again. But they're going to get an income form. They can fill out that income form. They can send it back to us, and then we're going to research the options for them and then send them their options. At that point, when they get those options, they're going to look them over. They're going to call. They're going to give us questions. We're going to answer it. And then when they tell us, this is the option I want, all right, I'm going into your application right now, go through those attestations. I get it recorded. It's complete. It's good. They're enrolled. Again, I put that thing on there about you're going to automatically be renewed if you don't do anything. So again, I'm going to show you what that looks like. This information, the self-renewal and the not comfortable self-renewal, is either mailed to them if that's what they're comfortable with, or it's going to be texted. That's actually new for us this year, is doing it in mass text, which ours will be going out this coming Monday. We send it out end of September, beginning of October, because it gives them a month to get prepared and get that information back to us. The sooner they can get us those documents, the better. We tell them we don't
tell you, by the way, timing is, if you send them out too soon, they think they're going to get their information now. So don't do it at the beginning of September or August, because all they see is my information, and they'll be asking you and asking you and asking you, where's my quotes? What's going to happen? And it's not even November. So to me, the sweet spot after doing this for 10 years is October. October 1st, you can do it beforehand. Like I said last year or last week, you can just tell them stuff is coming in September, but don't start asking for their information till October.
Yeah, and we tell them that we're not going to send them options until after November 4th as well. So that way they aren't expecting it right on November 1st. And we also don't do appointments on November 1st, because if you are very well aware, the marketplace likes to crash because millions of people are going, I have to get mine done right now. And so we just don't, we don't relax that day either though. So So Calendly, real quick, this is what the Calendly looks like for one of our agents in here. So as you can see, you can set up as many different types of appointments as you want. I know for Chris, she's got her networking ones, and she's doing a Walmart thing. And so she's got all sorts of different other ones that none of our agents have. You can see that it's, like I said, very customizable, hour and 30-minute appointments, 45 minutes, 15 minutes. You can have on there certain questions that they have to answer before they can actually schedule an appointment. We use Outlook in our office, so this automatically connects to our Outlook calendars for both them scheduling. If we're not available, that time slot will not be there, and also that it'll automatically go to our calendars, so we don't have to physically do anything. It automatically gets put onto our calendars. Calendly does work with other calendars as well. I know Google is a really popular one that people use, and it does work with Google as well. Then
One
Haymarket.
quick thing about Calendly, I was not necessarily a fan of people being able to schedule their own appointments, which might have been the control thing, but also going, what's going to happen? I can't talk highly enough about Calendly. I was told by somebody I admire, owns a big company, he's worked for lots of companies. You have to think about who is contacting you. It's no longer about you. I know Sam said that we live in a world where people need to reach you however it is they want to reach you, by a phone call, by a text, by a Calendly link. And it's actually has worked really well. You can make those, as she showed, go back one page, Sam. So all those different boxes, you can make some that are private, that aren't public. And then I just send you the link, like, okay, it's just for you. They don't necessarily even have to be out in public. No, ours are, some of them are, mine are less, right? I've done different things. So if you haven't looked at Calendly, look at Calendly. You can set it up all kinds of different ways, and it has made life so much easier, especially if you got the person who's like, well, when are you free? Are you free? And you go, oh, I'm free Friday. And then they tell you on Thursday, and you're like, well, Friday's not available anymore. Now it's Monday. And you do this back and forth. Yeah. Bobby knows. Happens all the time. If I can just go here, you sign the link, my calendar's changing all the time. They're in and there's done. And then they get an email, you get an email. So it's not like you don't know that there's an appointment happening. You'll get an email that tells you an appointment was made. We set ours up to be chosen to be in person, on the phone, or Zoom. We let them have that control. And then when I get the email, I send it to my appropriate assistants here to send out paperwork or get things ready. So if you haven't looked at Calendly, that will simplify your life a whole bunch.
Yep. And I had also forgotten to say, it says there copy link. So you can copy that link. You can put it in your email. You can put it on your profile if you have Facebook, or if you have a business page, you can put it on there. Ours actually are on our Next Step page on the web. And then you can also text it out, like I said, through Haymarket. So for all of our agents, and then myself and our other assistant, Andrea, in our signatures on our email, we actually automatically have it. It's edited to say click here to schedule an appointment with me. I've had several clients use it, and it's fantastic. Sometimes I get surprised. Oh, I have a call on Thursday. Okay, sounds good. But it's phenomenal. And I am 32, so I'm from that generation of, I don't really want to talk to you until I have to, so I would rather schedule myself. So this is good for people that are coming up, in between that 28 to 40 range. They don't want to make a call. We don't like phone calling. So that being said, we're going into Haymarket. So what I really like about Haymarket, Agency Block is supposed to have these new features in the new year. So we are kind of actually hoping to get rid of Haymarket as long as Agency Block does the same things that we need it to be doing. So it has the ability to create these lists that you can send out to people. It comes from your business phone number. So when I text somebody, if Next Step is in their phone, it's going to come through as Next Step. It's not going to come through as spam. So that's really nice. We can create the list for the bulk text. We can customize the text. You can create a template for faster texting. Hey, so-and-so, your appointment is Thursday at noon with Josh. We have all your information. Can't wait to see you. Press no if you'd like to reschedule. Press yes for confirming. We send that out, and it makes confirming appointments so much faster. You can send automated responses for your closed hours or anything other specific you want. And if you upgrade your subscription, you can export those chats, like I said earlier. So you can see I just have some of those lists over there for OEP 2024 of the information that I need. So again, like I said before, I send out this information based on what I need from them. One of the things I've learned in the last 3 years is that they get very annoyed when you ask for the same information over and over again and they think that they've given it to you. Most of the time, they actually haven't given it to us recently, but a year ago is recent to them and it's not recent for us, and a lot can happen in a year. But you know what? I've learned just go with it. They're, like I said, they're roughnecks, they're factory workers. So I don't want to spam them too much. I don't want to overwhelm them too much. So I go through cherry picking. Okay, do I need intake? Do I need the CMS consent form? Or are they fantastic clients and I don't need any of that information? All they need is that renewal info. So that's what those are for. Like I said, those are going out Monday for us. I actually counted today. I have 1,100 text messages going out on Monday. So I forewarned our receptionist and she's thankful for that, but already feeling overwhelmed. I told her not to worry. I'll be helping her with that. Below is what a text can look like. Again, you can customize it to whatever you want. This just is a brief thing of, hey, this is open enrollment information, click this link. So that link that you see below is for Form Doctor. So what I did with all of this information is I created packages in Form Doctor that is specific to those lists that I just had. So some of them are with the consent forms only, some of them are with the intake and consent, and some of them just have that letter that I showed you previously. So again, whether they're self-renewal or they are not wanting to self-renew, everybody's going to get a notice and they're going to get some sort of information from me. They don't have that choice. You have those ability to create those documents. And I know a lot of those documents require signatures. So you can make those signatures required and have it show the timestamp. So your client cannot press that next button until they give you their signature. So that's a very nice feature about Form Doctor. You can send documents out via Form Doctor, but I do hesitate. It does come through as like a 5 or 6 digit number. And a lot of people think that that is spam. So that's why I prefer copying the link and sending it out through Haymarket. You also cannot do bulk texting or emailing through Form Doctor, which is another reason why we're using Haymarket for our communication in that aspect. But you can send it out through there. We do for some things, usually when it's one-to-one and we're able to tell them, hey, you're going to get a text message. It's going to come from this number. It's the same number every time. So we do have responses that way. But as you can see, it's, what is their name, and select the packages that they want and either phone number or email for texting or emailing. And then it shows you what is the form that you sent out. When did you send it out? Have they opened it or not opened it? And then if they haven't returned it, you can send a reminder. So that's very nice. When you send out bulk through Haymarket, that does not appear here. But below it where you see that dark gray, that's if somebody's completed it, it will show up there saying, Sam completed these documents. And then you can see when they completed it and then how you can download it. So I really enjoy it. It was a little difficult to learn at first, but I actually really, really like Form Doctor. I'm a fan. I'm sold on it. It's fantastic for what we need it for.
And we have had them create our forms. So this Form Doctor was made for chiropractors, doctors, vision. So it's very doctor focused. They have some templates. I did adjust the very first one because it's a consent form. Now it was a doctor's consent form, and I just added the wording for the CMS form. But everything else, the forms, we've sent it to them, and they have copied it identically, almost exactly to the actual paper. And I think it was $20 for them to do it. Just a one and done fee, 100% worth it. Because yes, while you could, it was not worth it. I was like, this is going to spend me $100 worth of time to figure out how to do it. So we have sent them forms, and there was a little bit, I mean, they evidently, when CMS, we were not the only ones who signed up for them. When CMS sent out those requirements, lots of people jumped onto them. So they were a little overwhelmed, but I think they are good now. Their customer service is aware of what's happening. So if you don't have something to send out that's HIPAA compliant, that's partly why I went this way, because they usually work with doctors. I highly recommend Form Doctor.
As I said before, I was going to show you some of our documents. So this is what our income form looks like. The income that is asked on there is copied and pasted from the marketplace application. So there's no question as to what is the information that the marketplace asks for. We have a box on there for, do you have any changes to your medications, the doctor's needs? Do you have any upcoming surgeries, procedures, testing that you're aware of for the coming year? What is your preferred network? Do you care more about your network or your premium for the coming year? And then, tell us what your network is. Our area, we have a lot of options. I think we've got 7 carriers that we can choose from in our county alone. So knowing this information helps us narrow down for them those options. Obviously, we're not going to choose something if they've got a really expensive medication that it's not going to cover that medication or that doctor. So this is the kind of details that we want from our clients just to help them out better. Then they can send it back to us via email or mailing. Next to it, you see that what we call our marketplace for your record document. And it is every single client that enrolls gets this document, whether they've self-enrolled or not, they get this document. It's showing their information for the year. What did they tell us their income was? What's their application ID, their tax credits, the premium, if we know their member number, due date of that premium, and if they have requested documents required. I didn't put it on here, but I actually do have additional documents that break down. If it's asking for income, I have it broken down as to what forms that you can, or what forms of income you can use to prove, if you're Social Security, if this is what I need, job, this is what I need, citizenship, obviously if they're needing to verify Social Security number, that kind of stuff. I have a separate document. It's really helped. That was one of the actually first things in 2020 that I chose to do, because I had a couple people that are like, what do I use? And I was getting really sick of answering that question. So I'm like, here's a document. This is what you use. So I remember that was one of the first things I did all on my very own, that I was like, yeah, this is one of those things Chris needs. And then above there is an example of a confirmation email that goes out. So again, they get this document and they either get an email or a mailing from us confirming they're enrolled. Again, whether they self-renew or not, because we get a lot of calls from people that do self-renewal and they're like, I think I enrolled. Am I good? Yep, you're good. And I'm going to prove it to you. So it's try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. I know Chris even keeps it shorter than I do. It just is saying, yep, you're enrolled. I also add in there, this is what your premium is. You got to pay it before January. Here's how you can make that payment. We always, on all of our emails, say, ignore all emails from healthcare.gov. They're confusing. There's about 6 of them. You've probably heard the complaints of how many emails they get. We encourage them to pay attention to the emails from Health Sherpa, but most importantly, pay attention to the things from us, because we're going to communicate with you any information that you need to know about. And then I put in their links. I always put in the link for whatever carrier they're with, and then our personal links. So like I said, everybody gets this regardless of whether they've self-enrolled or not. We also send out to the people who auto-renew after December 15th. We send them something saying, you have now been auto-renewed for the new year. Contact us if this isn't working for you, whatever. They get a notification from us. I think last year we actually caught a few people that were like, oh, I thought I still had time. Technically you do. We're going till January 15th. So good job. But yeah, everybody gets some sort of notification from us. So just to review that, know the data that you want to track and find the way that you're going to track that information. Find out how your clients want that information, how you're going to get that to and from them. Know your demographic and their preferred method of communication. I can't stress that enough. Don't force your favorite form of communication onto your client when it is not comfortable for them. That is a surefire way to get them to go to somebody else. I think that's actually the first thing. They want to know if they can trust you and be comfortable with you, and respecting that in and of itself is going to go very far for you. Create that tracking system that works best for you. I use a spreadsheet. If you have the ability to update your CRM every single day, awesome. I just don't. And then investing in tools is an investment in your business and your clients. So a good CRM, a texting app, a document app, and then a self-scheduling app is going to help you so far in your business. Like I said, when we ended open enrollment last year, we were at about 1,500, and going into open enrollment this year, we're at over 1,800. I am anticipating us having anywhere from 200 to 300 brand new clients at the end of this open enrollment. as well as our renewals. The amount of people that we lose each year is less than 50. So that is how we just keep building is we find these new ways. We continue going with how technology is going, how our demographic is working. So that is what is going to make your business grow to whatever you want it to be. And then here's my contact information.
Yep.
Again, the 2 M's is correct. And then you can always text our business, our line at Next Step, and you can just, put the @Sam so that way everybody knows that it's for me to answer. Okay. I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to me, and I think I can exit out of this. There we go. And thank Chris for having me share with you. I hope that I helped.
Thanks, Sam. So you're still sharing your screen if you want to unshare. It is absolutely essential to learn how to adjust to your clients. It just is. Now, I was answering questions that were in here, and so I'm going to look through them again really quick for those people on Zoom and kind of answer them, or not Zoom, YouTube later, that might want to know what I was talking about. So, and I'm going to send the recording out again. I know a lot of this you're going to want to probably stop, pause, see what the order was and things like that. If you've never hired one, it is a little bit tricky. And Jill said, should they be an employee or independent contractor, especially if it's working remote? It really does depend on how you want to pay them and how much control you have over them. If you want to be their boss and they're a 1090, they're a W-2, that's an employee. Now, that can mean benefits, that can mean, and I'm not saying you have to, but these are things to think about. How are you going to keep that person on to stay with you? If you're like, what, I don't really want to do that. I just want somebody who's, needs a paycheck and is willing to do what I'm asking them to do, but I don't want to have to be their boss. That is fine too. There are virtual assistants all over that are pretty phenomenal. It is somewhat hard to trust. You do eventually have to. We make everybody who works for us sign a HIPAA compliant and a confidentiality agreement. And it's got pretty strong wording. If you find out that you have broken this, and I don't mean confidential about how I do stuff, as I'm showing you all, confidential on our clients' information, you will be taken to court. This is stuff that we take serious. I also have my assistants. One of the things somebody else asked was, how do I get this information to my assistant? Well, she's literally next door. So I have an inbox, but she also is licensed. So after her first year of doing this, I'm like, all right, it's time for you to get licensed. And she created her own Health Sherpa account that I invited her to under my agency. So now she's not writing, she's not contracted, she's not an NPN that can be added at the end of an application, but she can see all that information. So that's partly how she gets that information. Also emails, I'm big on forwarding emails that come through that she might need to have. Sam, some people wanted to hire you and I told them no. Our assistants creating the letters. Yep, I created them at first, and they kind of have the template of what I've done. I mean, once I found one that I'm like, I like this template, here you go. We just update it for 2024. So yeah, the things that you find time consuming, the things you don't want to do, send them on. Don't take them yourself. Calendly, somebody said they think it's $12.99. It's pretty inexpensive. And let me tell you, totally worth it. If you are living in an area that doesn't really have, like in our area, one of the simple things is we have a huge network. It's called Aurora, and people will come in and, I have to have my doctor. And we don't ask them the name of their doctor. We say, what network are they in? We're really pretty fortunate. There's a few doctors that aren't in a network. Well, then the client goes, oh, well, they're not, they're an independent. Okay, now I'm going to look you up. And now, because I'm local, as soon as I hear that name, I know what that independent doctor is. Now, you ask me an independent doctor on the other side of the state, New Mexico, Florida, I got to do all that work. And their name isn't going to become familiar enough to me. So that's partly how, I'm local. There's not too many doctors that I haven't heard their name. Those forms that she was showing you, those intake forms, intake and income forms, we send those out. It can be filled out on their phone. now with the form doctor thing. It's really easy. They can fill it out on their computer, save it, and send it back. They can print it off. We still have people who print it off and bring it in, or we have some that swing by the office and pick it up. So they can do it and manually type it in, or they can, handwrite it if they really want. We get our clients, when he said, how do we get our clients? It was a referral base. I'm not gonna say 100%, 95% of our clients are referral, because it's a snowball. And if you can find the right referral, for us, it was Kohler. So I don't know how many of you have heard of Kohler. They make the toilets or the sinks in a lot of hotels and bathrooms. They're kind of known for their bathroom things. We have a very large factory here, and there's some other factories. We got in with them. They were like, I'm tired. I'm 65 years old. My wife is still 63. Do I have to work 2 more years? I've been doing this job since I was 17. And I'm not exaggerating. Many of the Kohler people started when they were 17 or 18, and they are tired. And they come in and they see what the rate can be. And they went, wait, that's all it is? I'm out. I don't have to work 3 more years to keep my wife covered, because they do have very good insurance, but they're always worried about that. I can't retire because insurance is going to be very expensive, because they're thinking of Cobra. Their idea of expensive insurance is Cobra. And then I go, look, it's $100. It's $400. Done. So if you can find factory workers, they will tell their friends, who will tell their friends, who will tell their friends, because there's a bunch of them that want to get out. And we got in with the union. So that was really kind of the beginning for us, was the union. And now it has spread to every factory in this area. It wasn't just, knocking on doors. It was connecting with people and referral. I go to 4 different networking groups. Go to networking. It can take a bit, but health insurance is personal. It kind of isn't, but it is, right? This is their health that they're talking about. If they've got a name, if so-and-so says, go see this person, they're going to come see you. I haven't figured out yet how to put forms on YouTube so that you can download them. But all of these classes are on YouTube. You are welcome to them at any time. All the classes that I did, I started them in May when the whole CMS ruling first came out. It's still the same ruling. Nothing has changed. They've just clarified it. So it's on there. If you go all the way back to May, I kind of talk about it. Again, remember, if you record your phone calls and or Zooms, you don't need any paperwork. Do you give me consent to start this application? Yes, there you go. There's first one recorded. At the end, read the attestations. Done. Now, part of what Sam didn't show you that we are doing about this, and by the way, Sam is a W-2. All my staff, we actually have no 1099s. All of our staff are W-2s. Sam didn't show this, but the current clients, when we send them their information, if we haven't got the consent form, it's actually just on there. They can't send me the documents without sending me the consent as well. They've been my clients for years, send me the consent. Then what we're going to do when we send them their options is I'm going to send them the attestations. I'm going to take all 6 of them. I think it's 6, that's at the end. And we have put them on a piece of paper or on a form where they have to agree or disagree. It's going to make them read it. If they don't read it, that's on them, but it's there, agree or disagree, and they're sending those back 2 different times. Now I have both the attestations and their consent. So if I need to enroll them at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't have to call them. I don't have to email them. I don't have to wait. I'm going to send them their options if they're not comfortable doing this themselves. And in that option is, if you want me to do this, you have to also sign this attestation. So just think, CMS just wants to make sure you're doing right by your clients. Chris and Sam, do you let people see plans through Sherpa on your website? I actually don't. I want them to talk to me. I want to make sure they understand how this works. I want them to understand how the tax credit works. I want them to understand that they can talk to me personally or my staff. So I don't. I rarely send out the link, except for when somebody's one of those, well, what if I make 10,000? What if I make 20,000? What if I make 50,000? What if I make 62,973? Then I send them the link and I go, I send them the quote, but I actually don't do that very often. Matthew, you have your hand up. What's your question?
I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay. Rosalind, you said, how do you know if they auto enroll? So what I do is everybody who has not contacted us around December, by December 15th, right? On December 16th, I actually go into Health Sherpa and I pull up their application and I look. And I can tell if it's auto renewed. And sometimes they're in the wrong one. So I will email them, or we'll say, hey, I see you auto renewed, just so you know, the income they used was this. And if you're happy with that, that's great, but we don't have very many people that auto renew because we're constantly telling them don't auto renew. And we're telling them right now, don't look at those renewal forms. For those of you who are new or maybe never understood, just so you know, the renewal documents from your insurance company is going to be going out soon if it hasn't already. This rule was created by CMS many, 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 many years ago, long before the Affordable Care Act. And one of the things I have learned about CMS is they rarely discontinue a law. They just add another law on top. That's why there's Medicare A and then Medicare B, and now there's C's and there's D. They don't change anything. They just kind of add. Well, the rule was the insurance carriers had to send out renewals before 2 months before it renewed. That's why groups get their stuff ahead of time. Well, when the marketplace came along, they didn't change that rule. So the insurance carriers are still bound by the rule that they have to send out renewals. The problem is it's very inaccurate information. It's based on their best guess. They have no idea what the tax credit's going to be any more than you and I do. They know exactly the same time you do, October 30th or whenever the rates came out. They are going on the most recent information they were given. So it's the best guess based on outdated information. So tell your clients that it's not the insurance carrier's fault. It's what they have to do. But this is all about that education. And yeah, Brian and Lori, it can be overwhelming, which is why support helps, because once you start going, I'm overwhelmed, that's maybe the time to bring someone in, even if it's part-time. If you want to do a virtual assistant, there are companies that will do that you can hire the virtual assistant through them, and they're claiming responsibility for them. So there is some ways to do that. Yeah, when do we sleep? Right now we don't, but no, we do. I don't know about you guys. My brain likes to redo every application I ever did during open enrollment, because what if I messed up while I'm trying to sleep? So for me, it was CBD that absolutely puts me to sleep. It just shuts my brain off and I can go, okay, now I can sleep. You got to do something. If you're an athletic person, maybe you got to do it, you go running out so that your brain's like, oh my goodness, my legs hurt. And you're thinking of that instead of your application. So make sure you get lots of sleep. Referrals are seriously the best way. They're free, they're cheap, and they're going to stick with you. Sharon, absolutely, can be happy to, maybe after open enrollment. No. Delegating is really hard, it's especially when you're an entrepreneur and this is your baby and you grew this. What don't you need to have control over? Just what do you not need control over? Even if it's little, let that go. And if the person can be responsible with something little, like, can you please, I want you to call everybody who's got an appointment with me 2 days beforehand and make sure. And they do it. That's easy. That's tiny. Okay, now I can give them some more. Now I can give them some more. I'm not saying the first time you hire somebody, go, here's my entire book of business, have fun. Like, these are my clients. I got to, start small. And maybe you hire somebody. We have a receptionist up front who is, as soon as I interviewed her, I knew she was going to be a receptionist, and she's going to be a receptionist till she retires. Exactly what I wanted. I did not want somebody to move up. I wanted somebody who was just happy doing the job that they were really good at. And then I hired Sam and I went, crap, how long am I going to have her before she wants to be her own agent? So, but she's also a lot like me. She'd probably get bored with being an agent. So maybe she'll go from agent to running the office. But, I'm
still happy with where I'm at right now.
It's because I keep giving you new stuff to do. But, there's different types. There's ones who are going to want to move up. But do you want that? Do you want an entrepreneur? Because if you have an entrepreneur, why are they working for you? Right? I'm right now trying to find a data entry person. I just want somebody who's happy to sit on the computer and punch in data. So, you know, you don't have to think big. You don't necessarily have to get a SAM. We didn't start with a SAM. You know, we started off small. In fact, we started part-time. A receptionist during open enrollment. That's all I really needed it for. And then it grew. And the 3 ladies who still work for me still tease me that I said it slows down. And they said, we haven't seen it yet. And I go, yes, it does. We get to at least sleep somewhat normal. It's a good problem to have. So
July is quiet wise with appointments, but again, I'm still already doing open enrollment stuff then.
That's true. So remember, if you didn't see this, or I know one person, the screen went blank, we're going to send this out. You're going to get the renewal. Chris, or Martin, you said, Chris, if someone still needs to build out their client and prospect facing mechanisms, what would you recommend? Website, cards, Facebook. First, have an email that is not a Gmail or a Yahoo or Hotmail or whatever. You have to have an email in your insurance names, which usually is connected to a website. Your website does not have to be fancy. How many of you go to websites now if you're not shopping? You just don't. You go to Google, right? You just see the thing. You read 3 lines. So you need an email that has to have your insurance. Yahoo and Gmail doesn't look legit. Mine is at nextstep-insurance.com. That's our website. Gmail makes me go, is this person in their basement? You could be a person in your basement. Absolutely fine. Tracy's got a lovely sunset in the backyard, back of her house or her face, but I bet you you're not sitting in a sunset. It's okay. You could be in the basement. And then you face cards. You do need cards. I know people are like, hey, cards are the way of the past. I still want a business card. I hate when somebody's trying to have me put it on my cell phone. I'm not that tech savvy. I don't want it on my cell phone, but you might need to have it on your cell phone. We do have brochures. Brochures to me are more for networking so that they have something. If you're a chamber putting stuff out like that, start with that. And you probably have to get a separate business. And unfortunately, you cannot stop your business number from being marked as spam, because if somebody has marked it spam more than 1 or 2 times, it just is. And then it can take away. We actually work with a group that we pay a pretty decent amount of money to make sure our Google is always #1. It's looking good. It's doing what Google wants to do when Google changes all their algorithms. And when we were listed as spam, we kind of worked with them to get us stopped being listed as spam. And we're like, how are we spam? We don't call anybody but our own clients, but it did kind of happen. We are at the top of the hour. So thank you everybody who joined. I see there's some questions, so I will try and, screen through there if there's anything I need. Thank you very much, guys. I'm so, again, just blown away by how many log in once a week and listen to me. Should you start behind the agency? And I'd be happy to pay and fly up from Florida to shadow you for a day or 2. Well, hi, Brian. It's a little cold. You want to come now before the snow rides? You could certainly come up and shadow if you want. I'd be happy to show you what I do. And I do uplines. I guess I am an upline. I do downline stuff. But yes, I think I can still tell you more about what not to do than maybe what to do. Is it possible to get a copy of the attestations? Yes, but you should get them. Next time you're doing an application, you are clicking it for that client. It's at the very end after the screen that shows everything you've entered, name, username, or name, birth date, date of birth, all that income. That's where the attestations are. So please, just copy. That's what I did. I went to an application and just copied and pasted those attestations. But if you can get a SAM, get a SAM. Well, yeah, if you can get a SAM, get a SAM. You're welcome, Angel, everybody. Yep. Anybody else? So if you got questions, send me an email. I'll send this recording out. Should be today, if not tomorrow. I got a group that I got to get finished enrolling before Sunday when it starts. So thank you very much, guys. Happy to help.